Florida is basically a giant swamp. More than a third of the state is wetlands, and there are at least 84 mosquito species here. Yet, when you're standing under Cinderella Castle, you don't hear buzzing or feel itchy bites. How on earth did Disney ban mosquitoes from America's mosquito capital? After years of exploring the parks and talking with engineers and cast members, I'm pulling back the curtain. In the next few minutes, you'll get the insider secrets that separate a magical vacation from an itchy nightmare. We're going to hit 8 rapid-fire points, starting with the one most people mess up on day 1. Ready to become a Disney mosquito control expert? Let's dive in. Number 1. Mosquito Paradise meets Magic Kingdom. If you've never lived in Florida, it's hard to grasp how mosquito-dense the state really is. Over 31% of Florida's landmass is wetlands. These marshes are warm, humid, and full of still water, exactly the sort of nursery mosquitoes love. Scientists have cataloged at least 84 species of mosquitoes in Florida. Many of them aren't just annoying, they're vectors for diseases like dengue, West Nile, and Zika. That reality makes Walt Disney World's location in Central Florida seem like madness. It sits right in the middle of swamp country. Early plans describe the site as an endless green and brown sea of cypress and water. And 31% of the state's terrain being wetland means mosquitoes should dominate. Now, for some context, the last significant outbreak of St. Louis encephalitis in Florida infected 223 people and killed 11 in 1990. There was another scare in 1997. Health officials urged Walt Disney World to shut its water parks early because a few Sentinel chickens tested positive for the virus, and Time magazine reported that Disney closed water parks and pools an hour early, asking guests to wear long-sleeve shirts. In 2016, when Zika worries spiked, Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld started handing out free insect repellent to guests and set up stations around the parks. Put simply, Florida is mosquito heaven. Yet, inside the parks, you're hardly ever swatting. That's not an accident. It's a story that starts with a general. Number 2. Meet the Mosquito General, Joe Potter. Our story's hero isn't a talking mouse. He's a retired Army Major General with a resume straight out of a World War II film. William E. Joe Potter was born in 1905 and graduated from West Point, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the National War College. During World War II, he directed logistical planning for the invasion of northern France. Later, he served as governor of the Panama Canal Zone, a hot, malaria-ridden region where mosquito control was a matter of life and death. As governor, he oversaw public health, infrastructure, and canal operations, learning firsthand how drainage and engineering could defeat mosquitoes. In 1964, Walt Disney met Potter at the New York World's Fair. Disney was quietly buying up swampland in Central Florida for a project codenamed the Florida Project. He needed someone who could transform a swamp into a theme park without turning it into a chemical wasteland. Potter joined Disney as vice president of Florida Planning. His first mission wasn't to design attractions, it was to wage war on the swamp itself. Potter knew that mosquitoes breed in stagnant water. Killing adults with chemicals would always be a losing battle. The key was to eliminate the breeding grounds. Potter's engineering team dredged Bay Lake and scooped out millions of cubic yards of earth to create the Seven Seas Lagoon. They piled that dirt up to build the Magic Kingdom on an elevated plateau and installed a series of utilidors, underground tunnels beneath the park. Potter also oversaw the construction of a 100-plus mile canal network, later nicknamed Joe's Ditches, that still snakes around the property. These canals ensure that rainwater and runoff constantly flow. No puddles means no mosquito nurseries. Next time you ride the monorail or take the ferry to Magic Kingdom, look at those seemingly random canals and culverts. Those aren't decorative. They're part of Potter's mosquito force field. But drainage alone doesn't stop mosquitoes that can fly in from surrounding wetlands. That's where Disney's Invisible Army comes in. Number 3. The Secret Mosquito Lab. Today, the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, formerly the Reedy Creek Improvement District, runs a sophisticated mosquito surveillance program. The district has an entire department of planning and engineering that looks nothing like the attractions division. The team sets lights and carbon dioxide traps all over Walt Disney World to attract mosquitoes. The traps exhale a trickle of CO2, mimicking human breath, and mosquitoes fly in, thinking a warm meal awaits. Disney typically operates between 50 and 60 traps each week. Every morning, technicians collect the trapped insects, freeze them, and identify them by species. They count how many females are full of eggs and whether any carry viruses like West Nile or St. Louis encephalitis. This data tells the team where mosquito populations are rising and which species are present. It's essentially a real-time map of mosquito movements. Unlike broad county programs, Disney's lab can target problem areas down to the acre. The problem doesn't stop with insects. There's a living early warning system quietly clucking around the resort. Number 4. The Chicken Early Warning System. Yes, chickens. Across Florida, public health departments maintain flocks of Sentinel chickens as disease sentinels. According to researchers at the Florida Museum of Natural History, state and local officials maintain hundreds of coops from the Panhandle to Miami. Once a week, officials take blood samples and send them to a lab to test for antibodies against mosquito-borne diseases like West Nile and Eastern equine encephalitis. If a chicken has antibodies, it means an infected mosquito bit it. The state then warns residents and steps up control in that specific area. Sentinel chickens don't get sick, don't pass the virus on, and even their eggs are safe. They simply produce antibodies that signal the virus was present. Disney uses the same system. Those Sentinel chickens are part of the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District's program. Technicians test them weekly. The chickens act like canaries in a coal mine. If a lab report comes back positive, mosquito control crews immediately inspect the area, set extra traps, and increase spraying. The knowledge that mosquitoes carrying a virus are active in a precise spot allows Disney to respond before humans get bitten. As the South Walton Mosquito Control District notes, Sentinel chickens are ideal because they don't fall ill, yet their antibodies provide clear evidence of virus activity. Just when you think this is all about pipes and pumps, we bring in feathered spies. It's a strange mental image. While you're watching fireworks, somewhere backstage a flock of chickens is quietly saving you from West Nile. But that's the brilliance of Disney's system. It blends engineering, biology, and a dash of weirdness. And it's about to get weirder because the next tactic involves vampires. Number 5. Gentle warfare. Spraying at dawn and dusk. Contrary to viral TikTok myths, Disney doesn't spray guests with clouds of chemical insecticide. Walt Disney famously insisted on avoiding harsh pesticides. Instead, the mosquito control team uses a combination of growth regulators, soaps, and natural repellents. Trucks drive the back roads at sunrise and sunset, the times when many mosquito species are most active, and lightly spray targeted areas. Growth regulators interrupt the mosquito life cycle by stopping larvae from maturing into adults. Because technicians know exactly which species are present and where, thanks to the traps, they can calibrate which products to use and how much. One of the more surprising tools is liquid garlic. Reader's Digest reports that the parks spray a tiny amount of garlic extract around the property because mosquitoes hate the smell. The concentrations are so low that humans can't detect it, but to a mosquito, it's like walking into a wall of tear gas. Walt Disney preferred natural solutions when possible. Garlic fits the bill. In addition to garlic, some nights crews use soaps, peppermint, or rosemary oils. A blog about Disney's mosquito program notes that they also employ growth regulators and spray these agents twice a day. The key is precision. Rather than blanket spraying the entire resort, they treat problem zones identified by surveillance. Number 6. Nature as an ally. Bats, fish, and tiny wasps. Disney understands that the best mosquito hunters are often other animals. In Florida, bats can eat hundreds of insects every hour. Instead of trying to exterminate these nighttime predators, Disney encourages them. Over by Bay Lake and in quieter corners of the resorts, you'll spot bat houses, small wooden boxes mounted high on poles. These houses attract insectivorous bats that feast on mosquitoes and other bugs. Water features also host mosquito-eating fish. Top Villas, a vacation rental company that covers Disney tips, notes that Walt Disney stocked the waterways with species like mosquito fish, minnows, and even small goldfish to eat larvae. If any mosquito is foolish enough to lay eggs in one of Disney's lakes or canals, fish vacuum up the larvae before they hatch. Keeping water moving with fountains and waterfalls helps, but adding predators ensures larvae don't stand a chance. And then there are the parasitic wasps. Static Media's Explore article pointed out that Disney introduced tiny wasps that lay their eggs inside mosquitoes and other pest insects. These wasps don't bother humans. They have short lifespans and focus exclusively on insect prey. When combined with fish, bats, and birds, they create a living barrier. In effect, Disney recruits an army of predators that work 24/7 without a paycheck. Number 7. Architecture and landscaping mosquitoes hate. Potter's Canal Network solved the swamp problem, but the built environment had to follow the same philosophy. If any part of a building or landscape held stagnant water, mosquitoes would take advantage. That's why everything at Walt Disney World, from the sloping roofs of the resorts to the rounded geodesic sphere of Epcot's Spaceship Earth, is designed so water can't pool. Explorer's feature on Disney's mosquito control secrets notes that pointed rooftops, spires, steep angles, and curved eaves all encourage rainwater to run off. Even Spaceship Earth has an internal drainage system, ensuring the rain that rolls down its sides doesn't splash on guests and doesn't form puddles. Landscaping follows the same rule. Disney has millions of plants across its 40-plus square miles, but horticulturists avoid species that hold water. Leaves are chosen so rain droplets roll off and into the drainage system rather than collecting in cups. Top Villas points out that the park's flowers and shrubs are selected with mosquito control in mind. You'll rarely find bromeliads or water lilies that trap water. Instead, there are waxy leaves and high drainage soils. Decorative ponds and lakes almost always have fountains or are connected to moving waterways. Even trash cans are engineered to drain quickly after a storm. Take Spaceship Earth as an example. That giant sphere at Epcot looks like an architectural marvel, but it's also a mosquito control system. Water runs down its panels into a hidden gutter at the base, then flows into World Showcase Lagoon. Nothing pools on the surface. Once you know this, you'll never look at Disney's iconic buildings the same way again. Number 8. Reality check. You might still see a mosquito. Despite the elaborate systems, Disney can't eliminate mosquitoes completely. Nature always finds a way. The Mousetrack blog points out that even with drainage, traps, and chickens, guests occasionally get bitten, especially in wooded areas like Fort Wilderness. During the St. Louis encephalitis scare in 1997, Disney closed its water parks and pools an hour early each day and asked guests to wear long sleeves. In 1990, Florida's worst outbreak infected 223 people and killed 11 statewide. That history is why the district takes surveillance seriously. When Sentinel chickens test positive or trap counts spike, Disney responds fast with extra spraying and public advisories. The resort has also handed out free bug repellent during major concerns. During the 2016 Zika scare, Walt Disney World began offering complimentary insect repellent to guests at all the parks and resorts. Signs instructed visitors where to pick up sprays and towelettes, and cast members distributed them at stations around the parks. Disney's vice president of communications said the company was accelerating preventative efforts and working closely with health experts. So, while Disney's system makes bites rare, it's still wise to bring your own repellent if you're spending time at the campsites or staying out at dusk. Next time you're standing on Main Street watching Happily Ever After, take a second to imagine what's going on all around and beneath you. Rainwater is running through Joe's ditches, hundreds of miles of canals built decades ago to drain the swamp. In a nearby lab, technicians are identifying mosquitoes from dozens of CO2 traps and mapping out the hotspots. A flock of chickens is quietly living its best life, oblivious to the fact that its blood samples are protecting thousands of guests. Bats are swooping overhead, fish are eating larvae, and tiny wasps are hunting pests. Trucks are spraying a light mist of garlic and growth regulators before the sun comes up, and every roof, gutter, and planter has been designed so that not a drop of water sticks around. That's the level of engineering and biology it takes to make you forget mosquitoes even exist in a place where they should thrive. It's a silent war fought by engineers, biologists, chickens, bats, and the occasional herb. And the result is pure magic. You get to enjoy a day at the parks without swatting. Now, before you pack your bags for your next trip, check out this money-saving insider tip. When you're planning a Disney trip, every dollar counts. One of the easiest ways to stretch your budget is to buy your tickets from undercover tourists. They're an authorized ticket seller, so you get the same real Disney tickets, just cheaper than the official site. I've used them for years, and the savings add up. There's a link in the description. It's simple and it helps support the channel. Now, back to mosquitoes, the unofficial state bird of Florida. When Walt Disney first visited the 1964 World's Fair, he wasn't looking for a mosquito expert, but meeting Joe Potter changed the course of the Florida project. Potter's experience in the Panama Canal Zone taught him that you can't just spray bugs and hope for the best. You must redesign the environment so mosquitoes have nowhere to thrive. That philosophy permeates every square inch of Walt Disney World. Water flows, air circulates, animals help, and science guides the strategy. Today, as a self-confessed Disney adult who nerds out over engineering as much as over Dole Whips, I find the mosquito story even more fascinating than some rides. It's a reminder that behind every bit of Disney magic, there's a team of real people solving real problems. So the next time you're watching fireworks over the castle, maybe glance down at the water that looks dark and mysterious. Think about the canals, the chickens, the bats, and the garlic that made that moment comfortable. Think about Joe Potter, the general who waged war on a swamp so your kids can meet Mickey without scratching bug bites. And know that while you're making memories, an invisible army is making sure nothing breaks the spell. Now that you know the secret war against mosquitoes, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever been bitten at Disney? Or maybe you spotted one of those chicken coops or bat houses. Let me know your strangest Disney wildlife encounter in the comments. And if you enjoyed peeking behind the curtain, hit that like button, share this episode with a fellow Disney lover, and make sure to subscribe because we're diving into the utilidors next, the underground tunnels that keep the magic running. Tap the next video on the screen to explore the hidden city beneath Magic Kingdom. Thanks for watching, and remember, your adventure is just beginning.